Happy Halloween, everyone. This is Michèle Kline with Kline Hospitality, and I'm here with Stephanie Ledger with First Race Hospitality. And together we are WTF, Walk the Floors, where we talk about all things hospitality training. And given that today is Halloween, we want to talk about some of the spooky stories that we have heard from different hotels. So, Stephanie, take it away.
I'm so excited to be talking about this episode. So, how many times do we always say of like when it's eerie and slow, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm on the movie The Shining, like just waiting for the twin girls to like start being into the hallway." So, yeah, so let's now start talking about these spooky stories. So, I'm going to share with you a few spooky stories, and then let's kind of like discuss also too how like hotels can also too tie this in to their brand or amenities as well. There, I feel like there's a lot of creativity, even though it's spooky. But it's Halloween; it's that time of the year. But let's kick it off, okay? So the first one is at the Omni Parker House in Boston. So one of the longest operating hotels in the U.S. Little fun fact. But the hotel founder, Harvey Parker, is supposedly roams halls checking in on the guests. And they also, too, believe that Charles Dickens lingers on the third floor. So a little eerie of like, here you have the original founder, but then also to Charles Dickens, who is, so world famous, but then even to saying that he only stays on the third floor. So, like, from a hotel, this is a great opportunity to now do some types of amenities or even pictures up on the third floor. I mean, it would definitely be eerie if those then photos somehow ended up on the floor. A gust of wind. But what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree. I agree that when the story is well known, it's most definitely an opportunity to take that story to the next level, right? And create an experience around it for sure.
Yes. And it being even one of the longest operating hotels. So you know that there's just so much history that has gone on inside that building too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so now let's move on to the second one. So the second one is the Don Caesar, that's down in Florida. It's everyone famously knows it for being the Pink Palace. It's the big pink hotel, and the founder Thomas Rowe built this hotel actually for his love Lucinda, who is a opera singer, but her parents forbid the relationship. So now the spooky story is some say that they reunited at the hotel after death. And so then they also too are seen roaming the halls. But I thought that was just like, it's a spooky story, but it's also too like a little romance as well.
And listen to this, a great opportunity to hit two holidays,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Let's go for Halloween and Valentine's Day.
Perfect. And it's just the amount time space in between as well. So now you could really be able to keep the spookiness year round, but then also to the romance.
Yeah. All right. What other stories can you share?
Okay, so now we have the Hotel Chelsea. So this also too recently is Taylor Swift, has made famous with her line in one of her songs. But this one is they say that Mary's husband from in the died in the Titanic, and she ended up taking her life at the hotel. But then there has been mediums that have came to visit the hotel, and then they are saying that she is a chatty spirit at the hotel. So, someone that likes to talk, I guess, as well, with the guests that are visiting.
Now, what happens in that case with a guest that had no idea that this was one of the epic features showcased at the hotel, right? One of the
Yes.
amenities that comes with. What happens with those guests that do hear those voices and start freaking out?
Yes. I mean, I would have to assume too that the hotels, I've been to another hotel, the Colonial Inn. I've visited that property directly, and the signage that they have around the property of like, you really may hear voices or feeling a breeze or a gust of wind, and forewarning, because yes, I'm sure some just they're anxious, or an anxiety may not be able to take it. So I would have to say, for the hotels that are known for like spooky things that are happening, you just acknowledging it, because you also too don't want to put your guest in a difficult situation. But I think it's also cool of just like reading about it and the history and being like, oh, am I going to be the one like that will hear something?
That's great. What
Yeah.
other stories do you want to share? Any personal
The,
stories of
personal
situations
stories.
that you went through it?
Yes, I would have to say lights flickering. Those are the ones that I always start getting freaked out. Like maybe if you hear like a door or even the breeze, because I'm like, oh, it must be from like the AC, or, from like a door opening. Being in so many hotels, those kind of things I kind of can think of, a reasoning. But I'd have to say the lights flickering is always a little bit spooky. But then also too, just came to me as well as, when I see cardinals coming up randomly, like on the windowsill or the ledge, I always feel like it's like my own grandparents are, coming to saying hi, because I see it just so often in the most random places.
That is a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Do you have any spooky
I
situations?
not necessarily that had happened to me, but I remember working at a specific hotel that had been there for a long time and having team members that would refuse to go
Yeah.
work in a specific area.
Yeah.
That it was always the same area, and it was always the same restaurant, and it was always the same piano, and it was always
Yeah.
the same no person playing the piano. And it was both the team members at the front of the house and the back of the house, like cleaning the kitchen, that would be experiencing the same thing. So let's just say there was a pattern. So I had no choice but to believe it and try to figure out, what do we do there, right? It's not like I could come in like the
Yeah.
Ghostbusters or anything, but perhaps looking into removing those team members so that they could feel more comfortable and go somewhere else, and then find the courageous ones that were like, yeah, this is cool, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, we talked about, with how do you inform the guests on the spookiness of the property, but then, we always look at also too from the employee's perspective, as well as, how do you now also too um informing the employees, during orientation and even training as well, to making sure that they have the proper knowledge and verbiage, to being able to communicate to the guests should they ask any questions. But then also too, not the spookiness isn't for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, how do you troubleshoot with your team members, right?
Yes,
Because it's not
yes.
easy to make adjustments and changes on the schedule, and it's it's one of those curveballs that you have to adapt to quickly.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But I just also too, I know it's Halloween, and I'd have to say, we notice also too in the hotels, like this is always when we're having the park pumpkin carving contest with the different departments, which is also too a fun event to having. And it's funny too, I feel like, is seeing the departments also to relate the pumpkins to their department. So then you'll have
Yes.
like the room attendant with the head as the pumpkin, or food and beverage being creative. But besides just on our spooky hotel stories, but looking at it too of what hotels do for the employee engagement on a fun day.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Halloween is definitely not my favorite holiday
Yeah.
of them all, but the pumpkin carving event at any property that I visit
Mhm.
is always my favorite,
Yeah.
because just like you're saying, the department really shows on the piece that they created, on their
Yeah.
creation. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and even seeing your friends or colleagues in their different departments also too. So being like, okay, we're in housekeeping, but engineering. What are they going to come up? Because they're probably going to have some kind of electricity and something big and extravagant. But yeah, so it's a fun day too on the hotel side also.
Very cool. So, for everyone
Mhm.
out there, go out and have fun. This is a great opportunity
Yes.
to connect with your team members, to connect with your guests, all in different ways. Collect those spooky stories so that you can continue passing them down. And if you are in one of those spooky properties, leverage it in a safe way.
Wonderful.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being on the other side, and we'll see you soon.